Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's been a chaotic start to the Racecraft Rallycross campaign in 2023, but we now descend on the cornfields of Iowa for round number 5. Welcome along to Racecraft TV. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Delighted to be joined alongside by Ewan O'Leary with Ryan Bauer behind the scenes controlling all of the action. We're ready for our doubleheader RX2 before RX1. Ewan, you saw your first glimpse of Rallycross action a few weeks ago. You're back in the booth at a brand new track for you. How much are you looking forward to the racing out there in just a few moments' time?
Yeah, it's hard not to look forward to Rallycross, to be honest. It's really, really exciting stuff. Was there for the Daytona one previously, one of the obviously really well used, and it's been around for quite a while now in iRacing. Iowa a bit less so, but it has also been around for quite a long time. And it poses some very, very different challenges to Daytona, as I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, it's not a track that we as a series have regularly visited. It was also a track dropped by iRacing's World Championship Series, so definitely not one that necessarily drivers have too much experience in. And to add a little bit more of a twist to the proceedings, we're not racing in the day, we're racing under the night lights. But this will mark the halfway point of the campaign. Then we'll go over to a European swing, Brands Hatch, Barcelona, then over to the Indianapolis race park, Lucas Oil, Charlotte, and then our rescheduled round at Sonoma, which now serves as our championship finale. Today's round is the one where the Joker is the most interesting because it is a 12 to 13 second shortcut that basically removes the entirety of the infield complex. It is a short track though. We use some banking, the start line slightly offset from the rest of the circuit. It is one where technique is important, Ewan.
Yeah, and rhythm as well, certainly through that middle section. It's you can see corner after corner. It's maybe not that apparent on the track map, but it really will be by the time we get down there. So going to be very, very interesting to see who can get that hooked up and see how good the racing is really around here. We know that Rallycross racing is always exciting, but just what an effect is that kind of technical section going to have on the racing that we're going to see tonight? Well, we're not far away from finding out.
It's about 115 meters the run on the start as well into the right-hand hairpin, crucial to get a good launch. Here's a look at how the points will shake up, and it starts in qualifying. Drivers doing that right now. 6 points to pole position, which then filters our drivers snake-style splits into heats, of which I think we're going to get 3 of those tonight. 8 points to our winner. Once we get to the feature, 10 laps of action, we will have 15 points available to the winner of that race. And so, of course, the maximum that one can take out of each of these events ends up being upwards of 30 points. Here's how it stands, though, with 2 drop weeks already counted, with 4 rounds in the books. Dylan Baldwin leads over Kane Lasky, but Lasky's got the momentum on his side with 2 wins on the trot. Sean Winkler up in 3rd with a tie for 4th. But realistically, with these 2 drop weeks, what it shows you in is consistency is what's going to be so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, you say that, but you can have 2 bad rounds if you want. But 8 consistent rounds would be nice throughout the season. And certainly, this is looking very, very close indeed. It is early to be thinking about drop weeks and points and all of that kind of thing. But by the end, it's going to be very, very exciting indeed. And as you say, Lasky not on top of the standings, but certainly in control of the momentum, if you like. Although it was a fairly narrow victory 1 week ago. I wouldn't say it was domination by any means.
No, but not by any means. Here's a look at our race analysis. 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, all building to the 10-lap feature. And remember, in RX2, an introduction to the rallycross racing for so many drivers, fixed setup competition. It's also where we do tend to see a little bit more of a mix-up when it comes to both of the manufacturers, Subaru, Ford, and as well the Volkswagen, free to everybody. We're ready to go racing, though. Qualifying in the books, and Sebastian Broberg has grabbed pole position. He'll line up at the front alongside with Istvan Tits, Tyler Schell, World of Outlaws champion here on iRacing.com, alongside with Paul Mikolajic, 3rd and 4th, with Nathan Carpenter, Cody Winicki, 5th and 6th positions. 10 cars in this split, in this heat rather, with Ollie Honker and Andrew Howell, 7th and 8th, Eric Dubois, 9th, and well, round number 1, winner Dylan Baldwin has some work to do from the very back of the field. It's 115 meters that blast down in towards turn number, well, the final turn on the track, but the first turn for these drivers. Remember, 5 laps in effect. They can take the Joker on the first lap. Now just wait for Sebastian Broberg and Andrew Howell to get onto the grid for We'll Go Racing for the very first time here at Iowa. Returns after joining us in Season 2 of Racecraft Rallycross competition in 2022. The engines roar for the first time tonight. A good start from Broberg inside. Tits will have to watch behind him as the Subarus Concertina are up and funnel their way onto the dirt. Broberg leads up and over the jump and across the line, but a nice and tidy start through the field. Couple of cars slip and sliding their way through the double left-hand hairpin. Is Broberg going to tuck right to the Joker? No, he will not, and most of the cars follow him into the infield.
Yeah, we've got 3 in the background by the looks of things taking the Joker, and they'll fly straight through to the front. Looks like Mikolajic, Honker and Howell are the 3. Well, I don't know, actually. It's a bit of a mess of the back. Oh, and a spin from the front as well.
That was Mikolajic, so I think you were right. It was 3 of those cars that had come down initially, followed by a late follower behind. Honker and Howell will now try and use the early Joker to get some clean track position. Mikolajic has slid all the way back to the tail end of the field. He's going to have to fight his way through the last chance qualifiers. With such a significant Joker delta, it's interesting to see how they'll choose to play it out as well, Ewan. I'd suspect some of the drivers will wait until they catch traffic as Winicki blasts his way out of the merge.
Yeah, this is exactly the point with the Jokers, really, side by side into the front turns, and there's a bit of a mess, really. Honker goes around. He's going to have a nightmare getting turned back round again, but it doesn't help anybody, really, because you've got to think about the likes of Broberg and Tits. They're in 5th and 6th right now. They won't be getting involved in all of this mess, and they'll be able to take their Joker and should get out in the lead anyway.
We are seeing that illustration of how difficult the banking can be to unload off of these cars. Couple more take to the Joker. Broberg, Tits and Schell will all dive their way on through. Remember, only 2 will advance. The rest have to fight their way through the LCQs. Ford Fiestas at the front, 1, 2 and 3 running in line for the time being as they cross the line to mark what should be 2 laps to go. Working the 4th lap in this heat, and with Baldwin being the first car yet to Joker, he sits 12 seconds off of your leader, still technically within the Joker delta.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it is a very, very high-class heat, if you like, with the guys that are here. Dylan Baldwin has now gone for it through and into the fence as well. Smacks the fence, indeed. He'll get in front of Schell quite comfortably as well. He's in 3rd, though, and it's not particularly great news for the championship leader, really, because from this position, I can't really see him advancing.
Bit of contact between Shell and Baldwin as they funneled their way out of the final corner, but they've seen themselves lining up third and fourth in this heat results as it stands right now, which will also determine their starting spots in the LCQ, so just bear that one in mind. Broberg's going to convert pole position to a heat #1 victory though, and following him forward is going to be the Ford Fiesta of Istvan Tits. Might be a bit of a shake-up here. The shorter wheelbase looking pretty comfortable for the Fords. Couple of spins through the final corners for the Subarus as Broberg flies across the line to grab the victory in heat #1. Tits, Baldwin, Shell, Winicki will round out the top 5. Dubois, Honker, Carpenter, Howell, and Miko Lijic, the rest of the cars that will have to go to one of our 5-lap last chance qualifiers to fight their way to the main event here tonight. We'll grab a look at the results as we wait for the cars to come across the line. And that's the updated results, but confirmation of the two that advance, with Baldwin leading Shell in terms of grid position for last chance qualifiers later on. Already ready to go though for the second of 3 heats. It's going to be Evan McFarlane that lines up at the front. He's got his Subaru alongside the Ford of Rennie Wegner, Keenan Kusin, and Kane Lasky, 3rd and 4th positions, with the 2-time race winner Lasky looking to work his way forward. Greg Johnson and Zach Mitchell will be on the 3rd row of the grid, with Robbie Kirtley, Kenny Hoffman, and Hector Sierra rounding out the 9 cars stacked up for heat #2. Just waiting for Robbie Kirtley to take to his spot before the field is shot out down into turn #1. And as he does so, the drivers focus their attention on the starting lights and the run to turn #1. Away they go, green in Iowa once more. Slow start from the outside of the front row. 3 wide with some contact. The Ken Block tribute livery gets punted with some Subaru action. There's chaos and carnage over the jump. Drama at Iowa, it's what we expected.
Yeah, what else do you expect, really? The Ford especially getting absolutely smashed around. And did somebody just hit? Oh no, it was just Lasky through the Joker. Apologies, but yeah, a real big smash on the start, and it does look like the top 2 from the very start should have a fairly nice time of things now. Especially Lasky, who's gone through the Joker now and has got quite a big lead. Kirtley as well should be all right, you'd think. After taking his Joker, he'll do that a little bit later on, but got a nice clean start to this one. So did the top 2. It's really up to the likes of Keenan Custon to try and get through into the top 2 and advance out of heat 2. But a real big mess on the start, really.
Absolutely. The artist that's formerly known as Mr. Aero HD winds his way out of that Joker merge. Sierra blasts out of that Joker in 3rd position, and now it means that Wegner, who slots up in front of Kirtley, at least momentarily. Not sure if they're tussling of that Joker exit. On board with Hector Sierra, who treats us to some virtual reality.
Oh dear, and he's smashed the total curve there on the inside of turn 1 as well. But this is the whole rhythm thing we were talking about, the technical sections. You've got to kind of make one corner flow into the other. Now, this is a bit ragged from Sierra, if we're honest.
Yes.
Not expertly done, but it is quite spectacular. And maybe that's what he's going for, really, with very little hope of making it out of this heat.
Whoa, blasting by on the Joker merge as Greg Johnson, he'll steal 4th position away. Evan McFarlane used the Joker to jump to the very front, though, and so he's going to lead us across the line with Lasky tucked up behind. McFarlane, pole position, converted now to the lead of the race. 2 laps to go once again. Johnson also, of course, has used his Joker, leaves just 1 driver yet to Joker. That's Zach Mitchell, who hypothetically could find a way into the top 4, but unlikely to crack the top 2.
Yeah, very unlikely indeed. Here he is through the Joker, which is very committed. You've got to get very close to that wall on the outside and take a few risks. Does look like Mitchell's going to get up to 3rd, so he'll have a good place to start in the last chance qualifier, but he won't get through here in heat 2, you'd imagine. It's up to the 2 Subarus. We've seen hit Ford Fiestas everywhere in heat 1, but it's Subarus back on top again here. I was beginning to wonder in that first heat whether that shorter wheelbase that you mentioned was helping the Fords, particularly in these changes of directions you can see here in the technical section. But clearly it's not just a case of picking the Ford and then you know who's going to go through. Those Subaru drivers are capable as well, as McFarlane and Lasky are both showing.
Absolutely. McFarlane, Lasky will advance their way on forward. Back-to-back wins for Lasky, trying to make it 3 on the trot. able to survive some of the drama at the start. It was a quieter start at heat number 1. This race definitely showing that the intensity will only rise under the night lights here in Iowa. No major drama through the final couple of corners as well this time around, which is good to see. Track evolution, of course, plays its part as well. Drivers all across the line. We'll grab a look at the results in this second heat and then get ready to go for the third and final heat of RX2. McFarlane and Lasky, 1.5 seconds separating them, but both advancing to the feature with Mitchell, Kusin, Johnson, Wegner, Kirtley, Sierra Jr. and Hoffman, the rest going to a last chance qualifier. Tom Grady in the Legion Speed Sports 535 is going to be at the very front of our heat number 3 grid, looking to try and get onto the podium for the very first time this season. Nathan Brown alongside with Sean Winkler and Philip Durr, 3rd and 4th. Hex Valentine and Vince Michelle, 5th and 6th with the field, getting ready to rumble once again here in Iowa. Great launch from row number 2 inside, and Tom Grady has his mirrors filled and feels the contact as they wind their way out of the final corner. Bumper cars being played, they all hang on to it. Philip Durr made the one that got the rocket of a launch, but the Ford Fiesta of Durr now to the inside as they all slide their way off the track.
Everybody's off there. Nobody took a good line, but it's just about who's taken the least worst at this point. Through the Joker go a few of them, and I don't blame them either. At least 2, I would say. Brown being one of them, despite starting on the front row, which is quite rare, and Hex Valentine has also done it at the top 2. Let's see if we can get a Beetle through into the next round, immediately through the heats. It doesn't look like it's just those 2. Oh, my word. And maybe Vince Pichel did as well, actually, although he is having trouble over the jump.
Yeah, Vince Pichel almost nose-grinding his car. Final one to have taken to the Joker. We saw him be really strong last time out at Atlanta. This is such a different sort of a challenge, and so the UFC fighter, I'm sure, going to be trying to get to grips with the rhythm of this one. Winkler jokers and grabs 2nd. Grady still yet to take that jump. He's 10 seconds behind your leader, well within that Joker delta.
Certainly is, and that's where you've got to be right now. It's does make the racing a little bit strange around here, in my opinion, in terms of quite working out who's going to make it through and who isn't, because you do just gain so much time by taking that cut through.
Absolutely. So Grady finds himself in front of Burke, and he'll go this time. We've already seen a couple of cars slap the outside wall. Grady just under control, but behind Brown. But they'll fight for the top 2 positions, knowing they both transfer Winkler a margin behind.
Yeah, quite some distance really, and it's going to be difficult for anyone other than these top 2 again, you would imagine. Winkler under a lot of pressure, but once again, it's kind of about getting a good position for the last chance qualifiers too coming up. If you do finish 3rd in these races, then you are going to be starting up towards the front.
As the racing progresses as well, the dirt slicks over. Subaru's going to be favored just that little bit more as we wind our way through the night. No track resets to think about as well. And in a fixed setup, Ewan, that's something you have to think about. In RX1 later, drivers can have different variants of their setups depending on the state of the dirt. Not something they can do in these machines.
No fixed setup for the RX2 drivers, so you do have to just kind of cope with it. But these drivers will have known that. They did, of course, all select their cars freely, so you know they can't blame anyone else, I don't think. And it's just about coping with it, and these 2 have done that by far the best here in Heat 3.
I think everyone of relevance is Joker now, and don't think we're going to see any challenge once again. I think it was here at Iowa that we saw Garrett Lowe, Garrett Maines, Garrett Lowe it was rather, in the IRX World Championship days, come from the last chance qualifiers and sneak a surprise by grabbing the feature win. Still an opportunity for those that don't work their way through from the heat, but it is going to be Nathan Brown and Tom Grady that grab transfer spots to the feature. The rest of the cars, we'll see there. One final opportunity in a 5-lap last chance qualifier. A little bit calmer this one relative to heat number 2. Once again, the run on the start proving to be crucial. Browning and Grady confirmed as moving forward. The rest of the drivers updating in their positioning and confirming their starting spots for our last chance qualifiers as James Burke, comes across the line to get the results wrapped up. Into now one of 2 last chance qualifiers, which is going to see 3 drivers advancing, and so with 11 cars getting gridded up for the first of them, it's it's a good thing that there's plenty of spots on the line. Baldwin and Winkler at the front with Kusin and Winicki 3rd and 4th. Valentine and Wegner, row number 3. It's going to be Ollie Honker and Matthew Morris with Hector Sierra Jr., Andrew Howell and James Burke for the rest of the field, waiting for a handful more cars to line up on the grid. Just Matthew Morris now waiting. 11 on the grid. 3 will advance 5 laps and 1 more opportunity here at Iowa.
Oh,
A little bit of a jump start there, and it's going to check the pack up behind. But Baldwin with a great launch will lead them across the jump and across the line as well. Single file behind for the time being. The check up not really causing too much chaos.
no, in the end, the jump start didn't really cause anything, fortunately. And so everybody able to get away cleanly. Who's going to go for the Joker? Quite a few of them, as there is a little bit of chaos in the background.
So how does it all cycle out? The first time of asking as we cycle our way out of the Joker. Handful of cars did stay on the regular lap. We'll see exactly how close they're going to be. Bit of bumping for Kusin and Valentine as they work their way up and over the line. But no major drama for them. 3 cars confirmed as taking the Joker.
Yeah, and they'll have to be worried about the likes of Baldwin and Winicki as well when they finally take the Joker. But and Winicki is, oh sorry, not Winicki, Wagner I was thinking about. On board with Valentine, just trying to get through at the moment, and there is one of them taking the Joker, and it is indeed the 77. Could rip right round to the lead.
Don't think he was able to do so. Winkler holds for the time being. Baldwin next up in line, only 8 seconds. He's almost assured of getting the race lead. The question will be for those behind, what will happen? Kusin got a tank slapper over the jump. Think the drift expert was able to bring it back into line, but now feels the pressure from behind as Valentine all over the back of the 03.
Yeah, this is where the real pressure is, but is it going to be your all for nothing anyway? Valentine gets to the inside, a little bit better through that right-hander, but there's not really anywhere to go here through the left because it's relatively tight. Better chance down here at the final corner as Valentine uses the apron, but won't be able to get down the inside, not quite. It may not matter for them though.
I think we'll see Dylan Baldwin take to the Joker this time by because Ollie Honker jokered and finds himself in front of the 67. They fly their way up and over the jump. Baldwin sets up for the first 2 corners, the double left-handers. Keeps it tight to the inside, and then sets himself up to try and blast with maximum momentum through the Joker. And with a clear advantage, it's not even close. It's about 3 seconds to the cars behind.
You see the line he took through there as well, just getting millimeters from walls on either side, but absolutely picture perfect from him. And through goes Baldwin into the front. Was infecting a little bit more from Howell actually in this heat here, but down in 8 for the 666 at the moment. And even though he does have a Joker remaining, I do think he's left himself too much to do.
I think you're right. Kusin as well with that mistake earlier, I think has put himself too far behind Wegner to really try and challenge for that 3rd and final transfer spot. You can see the Subaru trying to close, but it's coming into the final sector on the very final lap. After being on the podium at Atlanta, Keenan Kusin is going to go out in the last chance qualifiers. Dylan Baldwin, 2nd at Atlanta, will rise from the last chance qualifiers to the feature along with Sean Winkler and Rene Wegner. Say goodbye to the likes of Keenan Kusin, Hex Valentine, Andrew Howell, Ollie Honker, James Burke, as well as Matthew Morris and Hector Sierra Jr. Cody Winicki is going to be classified as a DNF as Sierra Jr. has a bit of a moment of his own. But already we've seen how much drivers are willing to push and fight and claw their way to try and grab those spots in the feature. 2 Subarus, 1 Ford work their way on forward. And it is goodbye to Kusin, Valentine, Howell, Honker, Burke, Morris, and Sierra Jr., as well as Winicki as our 1 DNF so far today. Been relatively clean overall, even amongst some of the turmoil some of the drivers have experienced. The cars finally come across the line for LCQ number 1, and now getting gridded up for LCQ 2 with 3 final spots in the feature to be determined. It's going to be Zach Mitchell and Tyler Schell on the front row with Philip Jur and Greg Johnson behind them, Eric Dubois and Vince Pichel, 5th and 6th positions. Rolling from 7th will be Robbie Kirtley, Nathan Carpenter alongside with Ross Kaiser, Kenny Hoffman, and Paul Miko Lijic. The 11 cars ready to go once again. Just missing Robbie Kirtley on the blocks before they are spat out once more. It's the double right-hander that takes them to the start-finish line. Already seen that row 2 inside can get a great launch and bottle up the rest of the pack. How do they go? The LCQ2. Away they go, green in Iowa once more. Great start from Mitchell. And alongside, Shell will challenge. A Ford Fiesta went aggressive to the wall. I think forced a couple of cars out wide, but they all gather onto it, come across the line, and work their way to start the lap. Flying start from Philip Jur, who gets Zach Mitchell out of the way. Neither of them will take to the Joker. It will be Vince Pichel that decides the 13-second Joker is worth it, and he grabs some clean air.
Yeah, it looks like 2 others have joined him as well, but what a great start that was from the Ford on the outside line. Just fantastic through turn 1 and 2 to get up the inside. These 3 have taken the initiative early on, but they need to sort themselves out, and they need to obviously go quickly while they're out here, because we do have a lot of Jokers to come from those behind. So very important laps coming up, and we'll see how long the others leave it.
Yeah, I feel like in these 5-lap races as well, it's so much more difficult with 11 cars trying to figure out the Joker. It's a short track, less opportunities as a result of that. We are going to see Johnson take to the Joker. Pichel in front for now, but with the superior momentum, Johnson tucks back into line. Has to watch the mirrors. Contact with Jur, who's been physical today. He gets T-boned into the wall as Carpenter slides on through. But all this does is help those that have yet to take to the Joker and are waiting for their opportunity.
Oh, does it though? Were they blocked by all of that at the final corner when they came around? I know there was a few seconds for them to sort themselves out before the likes of Tyler Shell got there, and Zach Mitchell as well, but oh dear, this is all going wrong. But yeah, they still might have been in the way. Now Shell can get through, and this is not helpful for these guys now. So and there's more contact.
Johnson around again, and Shell, I don't think has taken to the Joker, so he's getting checked up in all of this. I think he would have been a lot better off if he had taken to the Joker, but maybe that's a hindsight 2020 kind of thing. Miko Lijic has taken to the Joker. He's in second with Shell currently still leading. Carpenter behind, remember 3 advanced, and right now we still wait for Tyler Shell to take to the Joker.
Yeah, it's Shell and Mitchell we're really waiting for here. And I don't think either of them have done on this lap, have they? Oh yeah, Shell has, and Mitchell, so they're both in on the penultimate lap. Mitchell in the fence, but it looks like both of them have gotten into the top 3.
And now, a little bit more contact with Tyler Shell pushing Vince Pichel. Don't think that's one that you want to tangle with here in Racecraft Rallycross. Rearwards from Mitchell, watches Miko Lijic has latched onto them as well. 1 lap to figure this all out. 3 spots, 4 cars in contention. Over rotation there, I think, for Miko Lijic. Out of contention now.
Yeah, that might have just settled it. He was running 4th, looking to take that position away from Zach Mitchell, and we could have got a fast and exciting finish to this one there, but we have been denied a little bit. It looks like these 3 are going to battle to the line, but they'll all go through.
And their battling also determines how they'll line up in the feature. So for Vince Pichel, 5 positions gained in this last chance qualifier, throws the uppercut, coming out swinging, advances his way through to the feature along with Tyler Shell and Zach Mitchell. Oh, exciting stuff at Iowa, and just a taster of what's up next. 10 laps for the main event, but we will have to say goodbye to the likes of Miko Lijic, to Kirtley, Kaiser, Jur, Carpenter, Dubois, Hoffman and Johnson, all unfortunately done here at Iowa, and now finished with the first half of their 2023 RX2 Racecraft RX campaign. I mean, Ewan, you've never commentated on a race here at Iowa. As we grab a look at your LCQ2 results, what are you feeling now with less than half of the racing tonight done and dusted?
It's slightly bizarre, given how much time you gain by taking the Joker, but it is enjoyable to see, and I'm sure we are going to get an exciting finale, because it's not just about getting through. You, of course, have to make the difference and try and win this.
Absolutely. So that was a quick look at the results. Don't forget as well that now the drivers get a quick little warm-up session before they go racing, before they get the 10-lap feature underway. They get the chance to see how the track has evolved, exactly how it's going to play out. And in the meantime, our drivers in RX1 are getting ready to go. Remember, Kane Lasky, back-to-back winner after Baldwin and Titz won at Phoenix and Knock Hill to get our season underway. It's been difficult to be consistently on the podium. Winkler's got 3 and 4. Lasky, of course, with the 2 victories. Outside of that, no one else been on the podium even, Ewan, multiple times this campaign.
It does just show how difficult it is, and I suppose it's a stark contrast really to RX1, where we're seeing a lot of repeat podiums and repeat winners as well. So there are big differences there, and it does just show how competitive RX2 is, and maybe even gives you an insight as to what the fixed setup delivers for us, because obviously everybody's kind of dealing with the same thing in the fixed setup series. So maybe that's making things a little bit closer, although I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see a lot more Subarus when we roll out for RX1 in probably about 20-odd minutes' time. Looking forward to getting the feature underway and then also talking to some of the drivers about their experience. Sebastian Broberg, one to talk about because he put it on pole, won his heat, and then has been watching on since then, Ewan.
Well, absolutely. That's the way you've got to do it, I think. Win your heat, take maximum points through there, and then you can just sit back and relax and do what you want until the feature. I don't know whether that will be a rhythm breaker sitting around and watching. It certainly would be for me, but these guys might be glad to sit back for a few moments and not have the stress of the last chance qualifiers, certainly.
Yeah, they haven't had to put their voices under stress either, like the 2 of us. Really putting our voices on the line here for Racecraft Rallycross. They're just finishing up in warm-up. Vince Pichel has just done a roll. Unfortunately, we can't add it to the flip counter because it wasn't in competitive racing. But it can happen here. Keep an eye out for it. Ready to go for 10 laps, though, of action. Here's how they'll line up for the RX2 feature. Sebastian Broberg and Evan McFarlane alongside on the front row with Nathan Brown and Esteban Titz behind. Kane Lasky and Tom Grady share row number 3, while rolling from 7th is Dylan Bolden, the first of those that advance from the LCQs. Pichel, Winkler, Shell, Wegner, and Mitchell, the rest of the 12 that will do battle. It's 115 meters that run from the starting blocks into the first corner that these drivers have to navigate. It's a right-hand sweeper. If Broberg doesn't get a good launch, he knows that the likes of Brown will be alongside and trying to challenge maybe 3 and 4 abreast as they run their way to the line. Getting ready to get to the halfway mark of the RX2 campaign, the drivers focus on the lights once more. Green for the final time, and a blockbuster start from Broberg. He'll lead them into that corner nice and tidily without a challenge. Tits up the inside for a moment on McFarlane, backing out of it as they funnel across the line. A car spinning up and over the jump, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they scamper through the opening corner. One car peels off to the Joker with Tits in company, but tidy for 11 of the 12.
Yeah, it was tidy for most of them. Tits with a bit of, not very, wasn't convinced in what he was doing there, really, in taking the Joker. So lifted off a little bit and has found himself in traffic anyway with, I believe, Lasky in front of him. It is indeed. So Kane Lasky and Esteban Titz 1 and 2 right now.
Sean Winkler and Tyler Shell, 2 that were involved in issues on the opening lap. I think they are done and dusted for the day. Also jokering Brown and Wegner, but out of real touching distance of these 2, Broberg takes to the Joker and blasts his way through and almost runs into the back of Lasky. The Ford Fiesta, though, with more speed, grabs the lead momentarily. Pichel also jokers, enters the podium conversation. 4 cars scrapping at the front as Lasky goes around.
Yeah, he made contact with Broberg there on the transition in the final 2 corners. Just got hooked around, really, and it takes a long time to recover as well. Bit of contact for the lead, but Broberg survives the hit as well. And there's, Pichel.
Heavy contact into the wall, and that's going to drop the UFC fighter down the order. I think that was just initially a little bit too aggressive on the momentum change, and well, unfortunately, does not end the way that they would have wanted. McFarlane now 7th, the first yet to Joker, finds himself in a great spot. Let's cycle our way back, though. Check out what happened to Lasky as they wind their way up off the banking. Just a little bit of contact initially, and then Pichel with the terminal blow, if you will.
I was going to make a joke like that as well. There you are. Yeah, it was just an awkward one to recover from as well. And this is what happened to Pichel as he was on the back of Broberg. This is a battle for the lead, let's not forget. Through 1 and 2. He gets his car in a good place, but just runs straight into the side of the Ford. And then it's not a nice place to be in terms of recovering that. And so spears off in the other direction, straight into the wall, allowing the 53 to get quite a lead at this early stage.
I tell you what, Esteban Titz did a great job to just back the momentum up and recognize that consistency in a series like this is going to be so paramount, and so made sure that he was not collecting and all of that. McFarlane tags the wall, still only 9.5 odd seconds off of the lead, but that's going to balloon up the gap very slightly. Not even halfway through the feature, but closing on some traffic in front. Maybe one more lap before we see McFarlane down to the Joker.
Yeah, and that's going to be a real key one, I think. McFarlane is probably the only one, in my opinion, who still has a Joker remaining, who can still win this. I think the others might just be a bit too far back, but when McFarlane gets onto the back of this train of 6 there is in the top 6 right now, they've all taken their Joker previously. He can't afford to get held up by them, so when he catches the back of these guys, then he will pull into the Joker.
Over the jump, runs his way through, and now will he sight his way to the right-hand side? Not just yet. He's going to hold for one more lap. The margin to the leader now up to 11.2 seconds. As Tom Grady in the Legion Speed Sports 535 Jokers comes out in front of Lasky alongside with that bright yellow Ford Fiesta, but not going to be able to get the move for the time being as we look on board and ride with the 535.
Yeah, Grady in a nice place here, and a little bit more wide from Tits in turn 1 and 2 there, but he's going to grab the second apex a little bit better. Now into 3 and 4, and the 3 of them fighting over second place all in one line. Will McFarlane believe this is the lap?
Now he does go, you're right. Broberg, I think, probably looking good. McFarlane, a little bit more questioning where he's going to come out in relation to the 53. Clear of the grouping for third on back. McFarlane now finds himself with 3 laps to hunt down the race leader and find a way past.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. We were looking at the gaps there earlier, and in pure running, Broberg was faster than McFarlane just a little bit. So with that gap at nearly a second right now, I think it might just continue to extend. But the battle for third is going to be good because Isvan Tits doesn't look the fastest of the 3 in this group.
Absolutely, he seems to just be checking them up slightly. Grady is going to see the big yank of the handbrake there. One of the few corners where maybe a handbrake is warranted in iRacing Rallycross, Atlanta's donk slide being the other. This ramp off the banking, definitely not one where you want to be locking those rears up for some extra rotation. And Lasky comes to 2 to go. Try and find his way up to the podium once again. McFarlane dropping back from Broberg. Ford Fiesta's looking good here today. McFarlane will try and reel it back on in. Tits really feels the pressure now. Lasky looks to the outside.
Yeah, and points on the line here, of course, for these two who are very much right up there, both of them inside the top 5. And side-to-side contact, Lasky gets it done.
Lasky then gets a helping hand from Grady and slams the inside wall. There'll be significant damage. He'll nurse it around for one more lap, and Lasky dives it to the inside of Brown, who gives up that position. Lasky's not going to sit down and let this one hang. He's going to fight for one final lap.
But there it is, straight into the side of Grady, and he gets through. Lasky aggressive, and I think he won't run out of time here to try and have a go at Tits as well. He's going to give this one another go, possibly even in exactly the same corner he did last lap.
I think it's probably the most likely place. They all check themselves up. Bit of a bumper barge though. Runs Tits a little bit wide. Front of the field though. It's going to be our 4th different winner this season as Sebastian Broberg wins under the night lights in Iowa. That battle for third got a bit physical through the final couple of quarters, but it does see the Ford Fiesta of Tits across the line in front of Lasky. My, oh my, an immense start to the evening here. And of course, just setting the tone for RX1 up in just a few moments' time. Sebastian Broberg dominates the running here at Iowa to grab the victory ahead of Istvan Tits and Kane Lasky. Now, what happened to Evan McFarlane? Was there
penalty, I guess.
Was there some sort of start infringement that we did not see? Well, these are the confirmed race results. It is going to be Tits and Lasky scored as 2nd and 3rd. Grady and Brown 4th and 5th, with Mitchell Baldwin, Pichelle, Wegner, and McFarlane through the 10 before Winkler and Shell. 11th and 12th round out our feature race results. A little bit in shock and awe now, Ewan, because that was definitely not something that was on my bingo card.
I didn't think that was going to happen either, but yeah, that was a bizarre one for McFarlane, and unfortunate to see as well for him to drop so far down. But I have to say, I really enjoyed that race. I think all these races should be 10 laps because that was really good. Not that the 5-lap races aren't good as well, of course, but they're just a bit. They're very, very short and very, very quick in terms of action. That was a more or longer and more enjoyable affair, in my opinion. So yeah, nice feature to end off RX2.
Well, don't forget that this is also not the shortest. It is the second shortest track, I think, that we have in iRacing Rallycross. So you're not wrong. Imagine if we went to Brands Hatch, which is literally almost double the length of this. It would be a very different experience with 5 and 10 lap races. We're just trying and filling time, hoping that the drivers of RX2 are going to come and give us a little bit of their time. Broberg, Titz, and Lasky would be great to have a bit of a chat with them. Let's talk a little bit more about what we've seen tonight then in terms of racing, because again, the same cars go out in RX2 and RX1. The only difference is open setups for the RX1 drivers, Ewan, which maybe means that they'll have a little bit more of an understanding on how to make that rhythm that you talked about flow that little bit more.
Yeah, maybe that will help with that one just a little bit, because there were times certainly in RX2 where we thought, drivers not finding the rhythm quite as well, and particularly I think it was Heat 3 maybe in the heats there, and all 10 of them went off at turn 1. Would that really happen with an open setup? Not sure. But it's just a very, very tricky circuit, as we've seen so far. And maybe that's why in the heats and last chance qualifiers, we didn't really see very close racing particularly. But we did in the final, maybe just down to the fact that this track is so difficult.
Absolutely. Well, RX2 has set the tone. It's ready now for RX1 to take up the mantle and run with it. Don't go anywhere on Racecraft TV. We'll be back from Iowa with more action here with round 5 of Racecraft TV Rallycross.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
a chance to take a break and relax, but it's not long before RX1 rolls out on track at Iowa, and we get the Racecraft Rallycross festivities underway once again. Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Arjuna Kankipati alongside with Ewan O'Leary, because Dane Baird decided that he'd rather be in Denmark than alongside me in the virtual commentary booth. Ewan, RX2 as always sets the tone, whets the appetite, and now the main event, the main course up on deck as the championship gets exciting. We were just talking in that brief break, and you were asking, so what happened? Why didn't Jacob Rafos win last week? And for those that missed the round at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, our defending champion who won 6 of 10 rounds in 2022 didn't even make it through the last chance qualifiers, got deleted. I think that's what our producer Ryan Bauer said in a pretty significant moment in one of those LCQs.
Yeah, you know that you're a good driver when the bare minimum expectation is that you win. So that just says an awful lot about Rafos, really. But he'll be hoping to be back on form here today, and there's no reason why he can't be. Yeah, RX1, of course, is not that different, I guess, to RX2. It's just a setup thing, as you say. The cars are the same, the track's the same, the format's the same, even though we're going for 2 heats rather than the 3. So it should still be very exciting, and the same challenges are still going to befall these guys than what we just saw in the last hour.
I like to think of this as the step up, right? Once you've introduced yourself to Racecraft Rallycross, to the world of dirt racing, then you can get a little bit more confident, start playing around with the car, and make your way over to RX1, where we have many of the former IRX World Championship drivers. Here's a look at the standings, and again, remembering that 4 rounds complete, 2 rounds of those already dropped. Hard to take too many pictures out of where things are looking, but again, consistency going to be so important. Rafos's issues in the LCQ basically guarantees that week is going to be one of his drop weeks. He's got to be as perfect as he can from this point forward, Ewan.
Yeah, certainly does, and that does put a level of pressure on, but then again, he'll know that what he's produced in the past, and so that will certainly help him out. It was great for Josh Fox to be able to win, and Leskanen's up there as well on the championship right now, but you can see that these championship standings, I should say, are very, very different to the really close ones that we've got in RX2, where it really is still open to anybody, even at the halfway mark. You know, we're starting to settle down to, very few drivers really who can still win this, even in the first half of the season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race plays out. Iowa's not being a regular visit on the schedule for these drivers, and so it's one that, even though it's been around since the early days of iRacing Rallycross, that many still will be trying to learn more about. Remember, starting line offset from the start-finish point, 115 meters, the run down into the right-hand hairpin that leads you across the line into the double left-handers, with the Joker off to the right-hand side. 11 to 13 seconds, the Joker Delta. We've already seen today so far, Ewan, how difficult it can be to execute on that Joker.
We certainly have, and I think we've seen as well just how important it is to absolutely nail it, because it's one of those where you do have to get close to the walls on either side, the tyre barriers as well, and if you do nail it through there, you can gain quite a bit of time, not least the 11 seconds that you gain by just doing it anyway, but if you do it well, that's a skill in its own right, and it does take a lot of practice threading the needle through there, so that's going to be very, very important, but also keeping it out of the walls, because we did see a fair few ending up, especially in the outside fence, through there, and that's not ideal, of course.
Did see a handful of the Fiestas, of course, only 2 of them in the field of 19 going and qualifying right now. Racecraft TV race analysis, 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, and of course 10-lap features. Same as what we had with RX2, only different, slightly lower incident limit. You'll get away with less bumping and banging for these drivers, and of course the ability to adjust the cars, to dial it in, especially important as the dirt migrates and evolves over the course of the sessions. As you had mentioned earlier, not 3 heats like we had with RX2, just the 2 heats with 3 drivers advancing out of each. The remaining drivers, of course, fight their way through what will be 2 last chance qualifiers with, again, 3 spots on the line in them. A little bit of jeopardy, of course, having to fight your way through the LCQs. It's definitely not a place that you want to be, Ewan O'Leary.
No, certainly not, and as we saw with Rafos really last time around, it really does open up a whole can of worms that you don't want to be involved in, really. It's very, very dangerous, really, because everybody knows that this is the last chance. It's in the name, of course, and so you've got to just go for it. and that does present some quite difficult challenges. The fact that 3 go through, though, in each heat may just help them out a little bit, because obviously that does increase your chances just a little bit, but even so, it's a very dangerous place to be, and the main contenders will want to avoid it at all costs.
Absolutely. There's that Joker merge exit, of course, as well. So difficult trying to get up to the wall. As it stands in qualifying right now, it's going to be Jarno Leskinen that grabs top honors by a bit of a margin, 0.2 of a second back to young Jacob Rafos. We are still waiting for Josh Fox, Garrett Maines, 2 final drivers to get some lap times onto the board, and those are 2 drivers that you would expect to be up and amongst the front. Maines has just punched his way forward to second, so he'll start at the front of heat number 2 if things hold as they are. Time winding down and qualifying, and Josh Fox is going to run out of time to get a lap on the board. He's going to have to fight his way from all the way at the very back. Qualifying draws to a close, and the drivers in RX1 get ready to go for the first of 2 heats here today. Jarno Leskinen, after the Williams Esports 1 and 2, looking to try and roll that momentum forward, has our defending champion alongside, who's going to be here for some revenge, and the Death Stare will make a return. Ioni Palaneva alongside with Christian Lindo, has Marcus Palacio and Josh Edmondson behind, with Brian Sawyer, Steve Ainge, Rene Sotens, and Josh Fox through the 10. For Josh Fox, no qualifying time. Lots of work for him to do now here, Ewan.
It certainly is, and that's a terrible place to be. We were talking about how important it is to avoid those last chance qualifiers. Well, Fox has not done himself any favours with that qualifying performance at all. However, we have seen people come through the field to the front in the past, so you never know.
I'm trying to think for Josh what his results were like here at Iowa over the years. Got a podium back in the inaugural IRX campaign, and the second running at Iowa was not so successful in the first race. Would probably not like me to talk about that. Following year, again, didn't make the feature. He's had mixed bags of success up and down at this track. See how it goes for him. Of course, in 2021, it was Joni Olakainen and John Robertson, 2 of our championship hopefuls. Robertson won that race with Ellis Jr. in second. Leskinen didn't make that feature. Rafos was 7th in that event. How time flies, almost 1.5 years ago now. Just waiting for Edmondson before we roll, as he keeps the field on their toes and just waiting for us to go racing.
Does he know he's in this heat?
That's what I'm wondering. He's got about 10 seconds, I think.
He's apologised to us in the chat, but he's still not ready to up, so I don't know.
He's let us know that he's sorry, but he's still not on the grid. There he goes, just in the nick of time, because the engines will roar. Drivers focus on the lights. RX1 ready to tango here in Iowa. Away we go, Leskinen and Rafos, lockstep, off the blocks. Long way around for the defending champion. Leskinen will try and squeeze, but up and in the air. Side by side, up and through the line they go. Rafos bullies his way past Leskinen for the time being, who might take to the Joker the first time of asking. Leskinen does so as, Rafos does so as well. They squeeze their way on through. Palacio down to the inside of Leskinen, who has a slowdown penalty, and surely will drop to the back.
Well, that's very harsh indeed, and he's got a lot of work to do now, Leskinen. But Rafos with the dream start, getting around the outside through turn 1, gave him the inside at 2, and that's all he needed. Surprised he actually went for the Joker there, to be fair, because he did have the front by quite some distance, but now he's made sure that he's got it, and I can't see him giving this one up until the end of the race.
Yeah, the Death Stare has returned 1 hour later as well, because the clocks in the US have rolled forward. They have yet to do so in Europe, so it's even darker for Rafos. You can still see how much he is pushing. Lindo takes to the Joker this time by, slots into second, behind his cousin. Palacio currently in that third and final transfer spot to the feature has Edmondson about 6/10 behind as they work their way across the line. In fact, Edmondson all over the back of the number 83 machine as they work towards the infield. Palaneva still technically within Joker Delta of the transfer spots. Still plenty to play for.
Certainly is, and if Josh Fox can't make it through here, then at least give yourself a good chance of going through the last chance qualifiers. Get yourself up towards the front. You can see Palaneva there has gone through the Joker now. He's up to third as we go on board with Leskinen, who's trying to get up there, and still has very much a chance, but Fox will be encouraged by that. Palaneva getting up into third, because Fox, of course, was just behind him before the 31 went through the Joker.
Thing that I always like doing when we ride on board with the drivers like that, when we can see the gears and the revs, is you just notice how they shift. It's not exactly how you expect. It's definitely something that you have to learn. Fox is in ninth, 13 seconds off of your leader, so 11 seconds off of Palaneva. He's got clean air, one more lap to push. Still a chance, you know, for Fox to advance to the feature, but it's going to take a monster of a final lap.
I think he can do it, though. This is going to be the shot we want. It's going to be Fox versus Palaneva by the looks of things. Rafos and Lindo look like they're absolutely fine in terms of making it through here. And at the very least, the one that loses out is going to get a good place for the last chance qualifiers. But let's see, and this is going to help him.
Palaneva fighting with Lindo. Have they just cost each other a tenth or two? Fox flies his way through the Joker, right then left, and into second. From no lap time in qualifying, Josh Fox pulls off the miracle and will advance to the feature. Both Rafos and Fox had to fight their way through a last chance qualifier. It went well for one, not for the other. No such problems for the championship protagonists this time by. They advanced along with Palaneva, who did get in front of Palacio at the very dying depths of the race. Leskinen slotting in front of the 83 as well before they crossed the line. A dramatic start to RX1 and still one heat left to go. 3 more spots in the feature to be determined. Let's take a look at those race results. Rafos, Fox and Palaneva, the recipients of the transfer spots. Leskinen, Palacio, Edmondson, Sotens, Rafos, Ainge and Sawyer at the back. So Christian Lindo, the one that really lost out as a result of the tussling on the final lap. Look at the grid for heat number 2, where Garrett Maines is going to try and get back onto the podium. He'll start at the front with Alexander Abedi alongside Jukka Pakala, Connor Parisi. Second row with Toby Ward 5th and Josh Clogg alongside. Santeri Heiskanen in 7th spot has Russell Peterson alongside with Anton Jonsson. Finishing up our 9 cars, getting ready to rumble for heat number 2. Ready to go with Garrett Maines bogging down off the line. Team Watson Racing Machine comes across but gets a bit of contact, self-induced. 3 wide behind them, scooting on forward is Jukka Pakala to the race lead. Up and over goes a car, add 1 to our flip counter. Chaos to start off the second heat.
Goodness me, and there it is, the flip count goes to 1 as Garrett Maines goes through the Joker and has given himself the best possible chance of getting through into the finale straight away now, but it's going to be a big mess behind. However, yeah, a bit more of a messy start than we saw in Heat 1, certainly.
It was Alexander Abedi, just got a slightly better start than Maines and then tried to come across. Maines held his line, to be fair to him. Boosted Motorsports car in the rearview mirror. Sees the contact from Abedi as he tries to squeeze Connor Parisi. But all it's going to do is see Abedi go into the tyre bundles, add 1 more to our flip counter, if you will, because Connor Parisi got a great view of that in virtual reality.
That was an absolutely brutal bit of contact with the wall. Goodness me.
Those tyre bundles don't move.
Well, yeah, and neither does the thing across the road at the start-finish line either, whatever you call it.
Gantry?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, what a bit of contact that was. Not nice. Yeah, it certainly spread out the field after the chaos of the opening 2 laps here.
Oh my days. Remember, 3 advanced, Maines, Pakala and Peterson, the only ones to have jokered so far today in the second heat. Abedi finds himself likely to be our only DNF of this second heat as we take a look at Garrett Maines. Now, are we only getting 1 of the cameras for Garrett Maines? There's the second, there's the point of view camera you see trying to control the car up and in the air. And are we getting the OnlyFans X-rated foot cam as well? There we go.
It is nice to see, and it's especially a good camera to watch in Rallycross as well. Just how much work is going on with the pedals, possibly more than any other category I can think of in motorsport. Many other anyway.
Supercars may be the exception.
Possibly.
Yes.
Although they do a lot of foot count in supercars, so maybe we just appreciate it more as a result.
True. Parisi Jokers, he comes out in third, no real margin. He's now going to be looking at Toby Ward, who's got about a 9-second margin, a gap rather, to the number 11. You can see that wide view virtual reality as well. Parisi returned to the series last time out, back on the podium for our 2022 Season 1 RX1 champion. That the season that we did not visit Iowa, though, so he didn't have to navigate his way around this. This is one of those tracks which doesn't divide opinion. Curious to see what our drivers at the end of this think about this track. As Ward will take to the Joker and merge in fourth, it won't see him get to a transfer spot unless he can go to the outside of Connor Parisi. They go and tango. Parisi holds on, shows the veteran knowledge. Mains wins after this poor start. Pakula advances along with Parisi as well. Those two heats really setting the tempo and the tone for I think what we should expect now, Ewan, in the last chance qualifiers as we grab the race results.
Absolutely. Mains and Pakula had a fairly easy time of things there, but Toby Ward got very, very close to taking Connor Parisi at the end there. So, yeah, going to be slightly quieter last chance qualifiers than what we saw in RX2, but important ones nonetheless.
I think they're going to be feisty because 6 cars, 3 spots, half enter, half advance. It's as simple as that. Leskinen, Palacio, front row, Edmondson, Sotens, second row. Be Lindo and Ainge behind them. And in this, you have to think that for Leskinen, surely will want to advance. 2 consecutive second place finishes after on his first race of the season, he came 7th back at Knock Hill. Williams Esports, they want to try and continue the 1 and 2 momentum that they had heading out of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. For Christian Lindo, looked good for a transfer spot until the very final lap of his heat. Here's the opportunity to redeem himself. Ready to go for last chance qualifier number 1. Good start from Leskinen. The Team Watson racing car on the outside rather. Watches the mirrors and checks, leaves just enough room as they ramp their way up and over the jump, but almost squeezes him off and into the tire bundle. Palacio will drop backwards, albeit slightly, gets the elbows out, forces a bit of contact there with Sotens. A couple of cars will scramble off to the Joker as they try and work their way on forward. It's Leskinen, Sotens and Edmondson, the 3 that take the shortcut.
Yeah, this is really bizarre now. A situation we don't see very often, but half of the field taking the Joker, half of them not, and they could just end up battling against each other on the other side of the circuit, to be honest. They could end up in a sort of race against time more than against each other. But let's see, Leskinen out front on his own. Here are the 3 of the others trying to stay calm between themselves as well. Palacio looks like he's doing the best in terms of keeping on his own here out of these 3.
Oh, and interesting to see that Ainge and Lindo go at the same time, which is suboptimal, but they're going to emerge in amongst a squabble for second. Sotens and Edmondson tripping over one another. A 4-car Subaru tussle. Ainge down the inside of, Lindo down the inside of Ainge. He'll find his way up to 4th position. Now, if you're Palacio, you've got a couple of laps. All the clean air you could hope for, you, and this is what you want as they squabble.
Leave it to the end for Palacio. Just leave it to the end because you know that you're going to be faster than these 4 fighting over each other. It is going to be second place right now, but when it all shakes out, this will be the battle for 3rd for the final transfer spot into the feature. So it's going to be easy for Leskinen and Palacio, I would argue, but this is technically the battle for the last spot.
Lindo down the inside of Edmondson. Really nice block pass there. Ainge still in touching distance, although Sotens has dropped off the back. Palacio's margin to Lindo is held relatively constant. Still 2 laps to go. I wonder if maybe it's better for Palacio to go this lap knowing he is within touching distance, because Lindo looks like he might run away.
Absolutely, this is an interesting situation. Surprised that Palacio didn't leave it to the final lap there, really, but it doesn't matter, does it? He's up there now on the penultimate lap, and it's going to be Leskinen followed by Palacio to make it through. But is Edmondson going to have enough here to get through on Lindo? It does look like the 9 might just have a bit too much for him. Yeah,
I think Lindo is going to be able to scramble his way on forward. For Palacio, I think one of the better Joker executions that we've seen, and it's 11 to 13 seconds the delta, remember. That's a pretty big window to have 2 seconds either side of, or rather 1 second either side of what the average likely is going to be. it is one of those jokers where you as the driver can make such a large impact. Jarno Leskinen, the Williams Esports camp, is going to make 2 of the white and blue machines in the 10-lap feature. Leskinen advances his way on forward, calm as you'd like. Palacio ran a great race to use the clean air to his advantage to grab second. Lindo, final spot in the feature in this first last chance qualifier. We say goodbye to 3 machines. Josh Edmondson in the Nitro Circus Next Level Racing number 58, and of course Steve Ainge and Rennie Sotens. 6 Subarus lined up, 3 of them are done for the night. 7 more machines are ready to go in last chance qualifier number 2. This time though, we actually have a handful of Ford Fiestas, and it's going to be the Ford Fiesta of Toby Ward that's at the very front. He'll have Russell Peterson alongside with Anton Jonsson and Santeri Heiskanen on row number 2, Josh Klog and Alexander Abedi on row 3. Abedi hoping to stay out of the tire bundles. Brian Sawyer at the very back of the grid. Ewan, you can't remember a time when the tire bundles moved out on track. I promise you, it was... Oh, you can?
Yeah, I remember, but I wasn't commentating or driving, thankfully.
Those were chaotic days. Abedi doesn't take to the grid, so it's just 6 that line up and shoot themselves down into the barrel of the starting grid. Toby Ward with a great start, holds to the front of the field. Second spot sees the Subaru climb its way on forward. That's going to be Josh Klog, I do believe. It's 4 wide. It's all tripping over one another as they all try and scamper out of turns 1 and 2. Someone decided to take to the Joker. Quite a late decision, if we're being fair.
It was a late decision, but it was probably the right one, really, because that was such a mess. I've never seen 4 wide through 1 and 2 in a rallycross race, but there we are. We have now, and Jonsson probably did the right thing by taking the Joker early. It's just a case now for him of getting his head down, running on his own, and hoping he's done enough.
A couple of cars at the front didn't really trip over each other, so for Ward, Klog, and Sawyer, they know if they run their momentum, their rhythm rather, they might be okay, although for Sawyer, almost got a little bit squirrely over the jump. Get a look on board with Peterson. He's got a shifter, he's got a handbrake, got a guitar as well. Not sure how that plays out in the cockpit.
Maybe he does both at the same time. Don't know. But yeah, down in 6th at the moment. It's not going to quite look like that later, but it probably won't be as bad as that. He's going to be in contention for those top 3 places. Heiskanen has taken the Joker now as well, so it's those 2 out front. There they are, Jonsson in 2nd, but when are the others going to take that shortcut on the exit of turn 2?
Jonsson a little bit wide through the second of the corners through that chicane. He's lost a bit of ground. Ward and Klog are well within the Joker Delta. In fact, everybody who has yet to Joker is within the Joker Delta, and Heiskanen, as it stands right now, is going to take some help from these drivers all getting involved in a battle to help those 2 up front. Ward and Klog will come to 2 to go. Wouldn't be shocked if one of them took to the Joker this time by.
No.
And decided to try and split things up, and indeed Ward goes, and Klog stays on the infield.
Yeah, I think Klog was thinking, if he doesn't go through, then I will. But since Ward did, he didn't decide, and 3 of them did actually. Peterson has managed to get up into 3rd place. Heiskanen's been overtaken, so we wasn't quite expecting that. It was going to be close between them. Oh my word, it's not close anymore, as that was Heiskanen going around, so he won't be going through, and it looks like, well, Klog now has a prime opportunity to go through in, and we'll have to go through in 3rd place. We'll see though.
I think Klog's going to grab 2nd in front of Sawyer. We'll wait and see. Ward winds his way out of that infield complex as Klog blasts out of the Joker and has some superior momentum, but not sure if he's going to really risk it for what will be slightly better starting position in the feature. He'll look to the outside, long way around, never really on the cards. Toby Ward holds on in the boosted Motorsports Fiesta in front of Josh Klog to grab the first 2 Traptor spots. Brian Sawyer advances along with them. Chaos once again. Plenty of drama. They went 4 wide at the start. And now 10 laps. Ewan O'Leary's favorite race distance for 12 drivers. It is at this track, that's for sure. 12 drivers in RX1. Here's a look at the results. Abedi, I think, slightly frustrated, not taking to the grid. Ward, Klog, Sawyer advance. 2 Fords, 1 Subaru. Peterson, Jonsson, Heiskanen say goodbye to them. That's a look at last chance qualifier 2 results, and of course that means we get 2 minutes to catch our breath, Ewan, and to get ready for the feature.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, I'm a big fan of these 10-lap features. Yeah, very pleased about that. I'm very much looking forward to the finale as well. We've seen some great racing here, yeah, I'm sure the finale is going to be nothing different.
Absolutely. We're at that point now as well where we've seen so many race starts and we've seen the ways that drivers seem to be relatively consistent in getting off the line. Seen a couple of false flags as well, jump starts and whatnot. Ultimately, it comes down to this one now. You've done all that preparation. Everyone's got the same piece of tarmac, which is one thing that, of course, we talked about last week, Atlanta short. You wanted to start in third. You would end up first for sure. You want to make sure you get off the line cleanly.
Yeah, I don't think we've really learned much about the starting grid here, really, in terms of there's definitely one place you want to be. It is relatively narrow, so I guess you want to be on the front row. But then again, there isn't a qualifying session before this. You kind of put where you are, so there's not a lot you can do about it. You've just got to get on with wherever you are. So yeah, we have one of the best things about Rallycross, really. You don't often learn a great way of doing things. There's never one formula for winning a race or even your starting position. So that's one of the best things about Rallycross. You just got to deal with what's been given to you here.
Absolutely. I think the fast, frenetic nature of it as well, the fact that the track changes so much with this dynamic track model, it makes for something that you can try and prepare for. It's frustrating to prepare for, that's for sure. You can see over my shoulder, that is the starting run, 115 meters. We've mentioned that a couple of times. Hard onto the brakes, right-hand sweeper. Remember, these are not traditional rallycross tires. They're more like the GRC street-style tires that don't necessarily give the same amount of grip on the dirt that you may be familiar with other sorts of rallycross competitions, but they slide around. They've got lots of power. It's all about getting the most out of them. Ready to go racing, though. Drivers have had their final chance for preparation, and now they head down to the starting grid. Jacob Rafos looking for redemption here today after not making it to the feature 7 days ago. He's got Garrett Maines alongside with Josh Fox and Jukka Pakala behind them. Yoni Palaneva and Connor Parisi start 5th and 6th. The final cars advancing directly from the heat with Leskinen and Ward 7th and 8th, Palacio and Clog 8th, 9th and 10th, Lindo and Sawyer 11th and 12th. The final cars in our 12-car feature event. Tension once again rises in the air. Halfway through the season in 10 laps time, drivers know these are points in the season where you can get yourself down, but keep yourself at least mentally on a high and try and just push for every single point you can. Josh Fox has already fought his way through some adversity with no qualifying time and now focuses up toward the gantry for the feature at Iowa. We go green for the final time. Rocket start from Rafos. Maines can do nothing but watch as Rafos tries to slide up in front of him. Opens a door for Fox to slide up alongside of Maines. Side by side across the line for second. Rafos with some contact for Maines, who went sliding off into the grass. Fox bullies his way to the race lead as Rafos will take off to the Joker. Another dramatic start here under the night lights.
A very dramatic start, but Rafos has dealt with that very, very well. It wasn't ideal for him at all to start this feature, but he's dealt with it very well. He's taken the Joker, he's got the clean air that he needs. Now it's basically a battle between himself and Fox in terms of just getting the lap times in almost here.
There were a couple of moments there where I thought for sure Jacob Rafos was about to have 2 consecutive weeks where we wouldn't be talking about him in contention for victory. His cousin, Christian Lindo, down the inside aggressively of Jukka Pakala. And mate, he definitely got a slowdown penalty there because he's come to a complete stop before he heads to the Joker.
Well, that was a little bit bizarre, but Lindo has found his way through and will sure be dropping down the order a little bit later on. You can get very, very aggressive around this circuit, and that's certainly what happened in towards turn 1 with Leskinen and with Fox as well. But Rafos was able to weather that storm, and I can't really believe, like you, I can't really believe he got away with it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, especially the first time. The second time
Yeah.
I was a little less surprised because Maines looked like he took the worst of that. Speaking of Maines, he is just jokered. He's out in 4th. Not in the best spots. He's got Lindo behind him. Josh Fox, first yet to Joker, 11.3 seconds off of your leader. He's got about 4.5 seconds of clean air, and you know that Fox is going to be trying to wait as long as possible to try and gauge the gap. The problem is, though, Fox has got his teammate Leskinen behind, and Williams Esports will want to make sure that one of their two drivers wins. They've got to try and play it out so that they both get a crack at getting out in front of Rafos.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they can't be holding each other up here, so there might be a few tactics going on. If I was them, I would pull Leskinen in the Joker pretty soon, but they don't actually seem to be holding each other up, to be honest. They seem to be doing absolutely fine, and they've still got the clean air as well. There's some distance before they catch Lindo.
Might change though now because Marcus Palacio has just taken to the Joker, and so it's now only about a 2-second margin up the road to the Team Watson racing machine that wraps itself off of the banking and towards the jump. Your race leader back to the infield. So calm when he's on the mission, but I'm sure there would have been some anger 7 days ago. He's channeled that appropriately. Running away, building an advantage up at the front. Last time by is a 36.049 compared to a 36.090 for Josh Fox. The two of them are pushing as hard as they can. Fox is already almost onto the back of Palacio. Mains and Sawyer fight after Sawyer takes to the Joker. Surely now, though, Williams Esports have got to blink halfway through the feature.
Oh, Mains down the inside, in a big moment, and, well, still side by side between them. Good fight between them, but you're absolutely right. Fox has to be in here in this lap, surely, as Garrett Mains does indeed get that done. I'm very surprised Josh Fox is staying out here, now being held up by Palacio.
Palacio did a 36.9 last time by. Fox did a 36.2. 36.0 for Rafos, so there was already 2/10 given up. This is to
So
quote
unhelpful.
It's so unhelpful. I was going to say, to quote our good friend Lewis McLeod, it's suboptimal. And now Fox almost runs into Palacio. Watch the lap time, this time at the line. Surely it's going to be up above a 37. Fox with a 36.8, Palacio with the 37.4. And now the Williams Esports teammates with contact. Leskinen, surely with the slowdown penalty. Both will take to the Joker, but one lap too late. Rafos clear at the front of the field.
Absolutely needless as well, really. I don't get the point of the extra lap at all. Don't get yourself caught up behind Palacio. We could see it coming, and if he hadn't done all of that, he might have had a chance against Rafos, but now it's going to be so difficult. The contact between the teammates didn't help either. It does look like they're going to get two cars on the podium, but they're not going to be either of them on the top step, I wouldn't imagine. They would have had such a better chance by taking that Joker one lap earlier.
They're going to have 2 laps, really, to try and close it down. See what Fox can do. Leskinen too far behind to really try and challenge for second, and realistically, with Leskinen missing the first round of the championship, only getting second in the second, 2 drop rounds, it's Fox that's got the better chance of fighting Rafos for the championship. Remember, we talk about Rafos winning 6 of 10 races. Doesn't mean he took part in all 10 races last season, Ewan.
No, he certainly didn't. I mean, he might have to this season, judging by the early moments of this one. But with a win like this, he's certainly going to be back on track. And I think Fox really would have liked to kind of use the momentum from last week to this one. But yeah, has really not been able to do that. And you have to say it is of his own making.
At the very least, there will be a back-to-back podium. Keeps things at least on the right track. Pakula, I think, took the Joker last time by, emerged behind Mains in front of Ward. Means just Clog and Palaneva yet to Joker. There's not really going to see them make much of an impact. They are likely fighting for spots inside of the top 8. What a transformation 7 days can be. Jacob Rafos was about as angry as you could be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, crashing out in style at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He returns, though, to victory lane. It's his 4th win in 5 rounds. Jacob Rafos conquers Iowa. Fox and Leskinen make it a Williams 2 and 3 behind, but the champion is back on top.
Absolutely, and back where he'll feel he belongs. Very, very good driving, of course. He weathered that storm through lap 1 perfectly. The way he dealt with that was absolutely fantastic, and just for that alone, he deserved this win.
There's a look at the results. Rafos didn't qualify on pole position, but bullied Leskinen in the heat and converted top spot in the starting grid for the feature to the victory. 1.1 seconds back, Josh Fox, coming off the victory at Atlanta, maintains the momentum as Williams Esports get Jarno Leskinen also onto the podium. Parisi, 4th, after grabbing 3rd on his return 7 days ago, while Garrett Mains rounds out our podium after spearing off the grass in the very opening start of the feature. Not a bad recovery, all things considered. Pakala, Clog, Ward, Lindo, and Palineva, the rest of your top 10, with Marcos Palacio as well as Brian Sawyer finishing 11th and 12th. Once again, we'll give it a couple of minutes. We'll hope for a few interviews with Rafos, Fox, and Leskinen. And Ewan O'Leary, unfortunately, I'm not sure we're going to see you next time out. I know that you're going to join us once again when we head on over to Lucas Oil. But your quick thoughts on what was a crazy round here at Iowa?
Yeah, very, very enjoyable one. I think the amount of time you gain with the Joker here does make it a little bit strange at times to watch racing. It does take a while to develop, but especially those feature races we had tonight were very, very interesting indeed. An exciting track, a very difficult technical one. I wasn't told great things about Lucas Oil from you earlier, so thanks for that.
Okay, to be clear, Lucas Oil, you know how there's Osher Schleben has that bit of motorsports commentary where the guy says we need to take the person that designed turn number 1 into a room and beat him?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, there's Lucas Oil actually deserves that distinction. You'll see.
Yeah, Osher Schlaben's not even that bad, but anyway, yeah, that's a different
I'll
story.
just tell you this. Search Joker exit Lucas Oil iRacing and you'll see what I mean. I got Lando Norris banned on iRacing for intentionally wrecking me because of that Joker exit, I'll have you know.
Wow, that's quite a claim to fame.
I know exactly, right? I mean, the only interaction I've had with poor Lando Norris is when we had an accidental coming together and then I got him banned. Yeah, I know exactly. Do have an interview finally standing by. We were waiting. Let's see if we can have a chat with the young Jarno Leskinen, who's standing by. Jarno, Iowa, talk to us a little bit about this track. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's one of the not my greatest tracks, but I'm pretty surprised that I got the pole. But yeah,
I've got this. So I got to say 10 out of 10 on what you've done with your background, by the way. I love it. I can feel like you're in the car.
Yeah, it was nice to make the effect like that.
And you're streaming now a little bit. We saw some of the angles as well.
Yeah, I was streaming the whole race. Yeah.
So let's talk about your Racecraft Rallycross. You missed the first round of the season. We saw Williams 1 and 2 last week, Williams 2 and 3 this week. How are you feeling? I'm sure there's a lot of momentum within the team.
Yeah, it's nice to know that we are in good pace. I don't know what happened to Josh at qualifying. I don't know if he didn't know that the first lap doesn't count. But yeah, he got great hit after that. And yeah, we got great momentum, and next week, hopefully 1-2 again.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Already looking forward to next week at Brands Hatch. Can't wait to see you in action. Congratulations on another podium.
Thank you.
From Jarno Leskinen, we'll continue to work our way up through the podium, and we'll head over to his teammate, Josh Fox, who's standing by with Ewan O'Leary.
Josh, second place today in this one. Not quite enough to catch Rafos here, but how do you assess the evening? Now you've ended up in second.
Yeah, it's a tough one to take. I mean, really fast car again. You know, had a lot of speed on the fresh track and the worn tracks as well, and kind of a crazy way to go through the night with the heat race starting on the back row. But it was looking good in the main. I was feeling really good, and then the lap before I jokered, I lost a ton of time getting tangled up, and let Jacob get the win there.
It was a very chaotic start, but I want to go to the middle of the race, to what you just alluded to a little bit there. What was your kind of decision making and thought process going through with when you were going to take your Joker? We know it obviously gains you heaps of time here. What were your thoughts as to when you were going to take it, and do you have any regrets maybe about when you took it as well?
It's just racing circumstance. I was going to wait as long as possible to take it, and I was just holding on and trying to, run clean laps there, even though there's a bit of traffic ahead, and just caught it in a real bad spot, and it cost me a ton of time and a lap sooner, and I think it would have been a different race.
We're halfway through the season now. How do you think your chances are of catching Rafos here in the championship standings? Because it was close coming in today.
Yeah, if we keep bringing fast cars, Jarno and I taking up spots up front in qualifying and main event podiums, I think that'll give us a good chance. But we gotta keep him from winning. That's the biggest thing, and I think we're bringing the cars to do that here for the second half.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you in action again next week, Josh. But thanks for coming to have a chat with us tonight, and congratulations on second place.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And real quick, thanks to the Racecraft TV crew. Appreciate everyone who puts on the show, and glad to be here with the Williams Esports Subaru with Chill Blast, BenQ, Fanatec, Playseat, Team Razor, Gulf Oil, Duracell, Heisenfeld Pedals, and Recaro Automotive.
Thanks very much. Josh Fox, second place here today at Iowa.
He remembered all those sponsors as well, so congratulations. We make our way up to the top step of the podium. Jacob Rafos back on his winning form. Jacob, let's go back to 7 days ago because we didn't get the chance to talk to you after Atlanta. What was going through your mind after going out in the last chance qualifiers?
Yeah, it was pretty hectic. I did not survive, and that's why I didn't make a feature, but I mean, we all have our bad rounds, and it's okay. We're back.
Love the attitude, and I think you said it, you are back. Didn't get the time in qualifying. Jarno had a really good time, all things considered, but we're able to make your way forward. What's Iowa really like? We keep talking about this rhythm in the infield. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's a pretty good track, actually. Jarno, for sure, he had a pretty strong qualifying. I could have maybe challenged him, but yeah, it was pretty strong. Him and Garrett, for sure. But we managed to got through him through the heat, and yeah, that's how it went. We got P1 and made our way to the feature pole.
So 4 wins in 5 rounds of the championship now. What's the plan moving forward? Brands Hatch up next. It's an interesting one, and turn 1 there is always dramatic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, good thing is to set a few more pole laps maybe, but yeah, for sure. I see the Williams guys and also Garrett. It's pretty strong here, for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's challenging this season in Racecraft for sure. Pretty much more challenging than it was last season. So.
Well, they saw that you won 6 races in 10 rounds last year. They wanted to make things more difficult, but you've got 4 in 5 so far, so you're on track to go to 8 in 10. Let's see how the rest of the season goes for you, Jacob. Congratulations on another victory.
Thanks, and I'd like to thank Nitro Circus Sim Racing Team, Sim Magic, Sim Racing RS, and Next Level Racing. And yeah, pretty much all the guys at Racecraft putting up the event, and you guys for commentating.
Another shout out to the sponsors. It's almost like these World Championship drivers know what they're doing. Thank you to our podium sitters for giving us a bit of their time, as always, at the end of a hectic day of competition. And we look forward to 7 days from today, Ewan, where we go racing across the pond at Brands Hatch, a venue that has plenty of rallycross heritage, even if it's not at the layout that we'll go racing at.
Not quite, but it is going to kick off our little European segment of this season, with Barcelona coming a week after that. So that will be nice. Yeah, it'll be nice to be on UK soil for some of them. I know there are a few UK and Ireland registered drivers out here, so I'm sure they'll be looking forward to it as well. And yeah, it's going to be another exciting round of rallycross, especially looking forward to RX2 as this season develops, I've got to say, because the championship's so close there, it's so wide open. And you just never go into a round knowing who's going to win, and that is true a little bit in RX1, although you do have your favourites in there. RX2 especially, though, is just a lottery, really, sometimes.
Broberg really showing how much of that surprise that class can be. We now have had 4 different winners in 5 different events compared to 4 wins for one driver in 5 events in RX1. That's our venue for round 6. We'll kick off the back half of the campaign at Brands Hatch, up and down through the rolling hills on March 19th again. 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, here live on Racecraft TV. For now, though, it's time to bid you farewell. On behalf of the team behind us at Racecraft TV. For Ryan Bauer behind the scenes, face to Van Ballo at trackcams22.com. For Ewan O'Leary alongside myself, Arjuna Kenkipati, thank you for joining us for more great Racecraft TV action. We'll be back next week to continue the second half of the season. For now, so long and goodbye. Enjoy another iRacing week.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.